A loved one who died is trying to tell you a secret. They are screaming your name. Don't scroll, listen to this. This message is for you, and before your mind rushes to question or protect itself, pause right here, because your heart needs this right now, and the reason these words feel heavy and gentle at the same time is because grief and love live in the same place, and you are standing right there, whether you meant to or not, and listen closely, because this is not meant to scare you, it's meant to comfort you, to steady you, to let something long unspoken finally breathe. And this message is for you if you felt waves of emotion lately that seem to come out of nowhere, moments where your chest tightens or softens without warning, moments where your name feels louder inside your own head, and don't scroll, listen to this, because what you're experiencing is not weakness, it's connection transforming, and your heart needs this right now because you've been strong for so long, holding yourself together, telling yourself you've moved on, when really you've just learned how to carry love in silence, and listen carefully, because love does not disappear when someone dies, it changes form, it becomes memory, it becomes instinct, it becomes a presence inside you that shows up when you least expect it, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe often uses moments of stillness to bring forward what we've buried just to survive. And your heart needs this right now because something inside you is ready to hear what was too painful to hear before. And listen, this message is for you because you've noticed the signs, even if you didn't want to admit it, the songs that come on at the exact moment you're thinking of them, the dreams that feel more real than usual, the sudden comfort that wraps around you when you say their name out loud. And don't scroll, listen to this. Because those are not random, those are reminders that love is not bound by form. And your heart needs this right now because you've been asking quietly, maybe. Not with words, but with longing, with questions, with a soft, "Are you okay?" sent into the dark, and listen closely, because the answer is not a sound, it's a feeling, it's peace trying to reach you through your own awareness. And don't scroll. Listen to this, because when you keep seeing angel numbers like 11 when your thoughts drift to them, or 222 when you're doubting yourself, or 444 when you suddenly feel protected, that's not coincidence, that's your intuition learning a new language during your spiritual awakening, and your heart needs this right now because awakening doesn't only happen through joy, it often happens through loss. Through the breaking open that teaches you how deeply you can feel. And listen carefully, because the secret isn't something dark or unfinished, it's not a warning meant to frighten you, it's a truth meant to free you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the truth is this. The love you shared is not asking you to stay in pain, it's asking you to live, to laugh again without guilt, to love again without fear, to move forward without feeling like you're leaving anyone behind, and your heart needs this right now because part of you has been afraid that healing means forgetting, but listen to this, healing means carrying love forward in a new way, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the reason your name feels loud sometimes, like it echoes in your thoughts, is because your own soul is calling you back to yourself, reminding you that you are still here, still breathing, still meant to experience connection, purpose, even soulmate level love again, and your heart needs this right now because loss can make you feel like the story ended, when really it just turned a page. And listen closely, because the universe does not take love away without transforming it into guidance, into resilience, into empathy that will shape every meaningful relationship you have going forward. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the person you lost is part of your foundation now, not your limitation, and your heart needs this right now because you've been trying to hold it all alone, and you don't have to, and listen carefully, because when you feel sudden calm after tears, when you feel a gentle nudge toward rest, toward forgiveness, toward choosing yourself, that is love teaching you how to survive and then how to thrive. And don't scroll, listen to this. Because your awakening is not about seeing ghosts or hearing voices, it's about becoming more sensitive to meaning, to connection, to the invisible threads that bind people across time, and your heart needs this right now because you are not broken for still feeling this deeply, you are alive, and listen to this, the universe is asking you to stop interpreting these moments as something to fear and start seeing them as invitations to soften, to trust, to allow yourself to feel held by memory. Instead of haunted by it, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the screaming you feel is not panic, it's urgency of love, love saying, don't miss your life, don't shrink, don't stay frozen, and your heart needs this right now because you've been standing still longer than you realize, and listen closely, because this message is not asking you to dwell in the past, it's asking you to integrate it, to let the love you lost become the strength that guides you forward, and don't scroll. Listen to this, because soon the signs will shift, not because the connection is gone, but because you won't need reassurance anymore, you'll carry certainty instead, and your heart needs this right now because certainty brings peace, and listen to this final moment carefully, because part 1 ends here not with answers neatly wrapped, but with a truth you can feel. You are not alone in your grief, you are not wrong for sensing more, and the love you lost is not asking you to stay behind with it, it's asking you to walk forward with what it gave you, and don't scroll, listen to this, because what comes next will not be about loss, it will be about how love continues to shape your destiny, quietly, gently, and always from within. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you, and if part 1 opened something tender inside your chest, that's because your heart needs this right now and the universe is continuing the conversation gently, patiently, without forcing anything, and listen closely because this part is about meaning, not mystery, about understanding what those moments have been trying to do for you rather than what they literally are. And this message is for you if you've been noticing how grief has been changing shape lately, how it doesn't always hurt the same way it used to, how sometimes it shows up as warmth instead of pain, as memory instead of ache, and don't scroll, listen to this, because that shift is not you moving on, it's you integrating love into who you are becoming, and your heart needs this right now because integration is quieter than grief, and quiet can feel confusing when you've lived with loud emotions for so long. And listen carefully, because the universe often speaks through what you feel rather than what you see, and that's why certain moments have been standing out to you, moments where you suddenly feel watched over, steadied, almost guided, not in a frightening way, but in a grounding one, and don't scroll, listen to this, because guidance doesn't have to come from outside of you. It often comes from the deepest parts of you that learned love through someone who mattered. And your heart needs this right now because you may have been interpreting these moments as something you need to decode, when really they're something you need to receive, and listen closely, because the secret isn't hidden information, it's permission to live fully again without guilt, permission to smile without immediately remembering why you shouldn't, permission to imagine a future that includes joy, connection, even soulmate-level love, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because love does not ask you to suffer in its name, it asks you to grow, and your heart needs this right now because part of you has been afraid that healing somehow betrays what you lost, but listen to this truth, healing is how love continues to work through you, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the signs you've been seeing, angel numbers like 1111 when you pause, 222 when you're doubting yourself, 444 when you feel unexpectedly safe. Are not instructions to look backward, they're reminders to stay present, to trust that you are supported as you take the next step forward, and your heart needs this right now because forward used to feel like abandonment, and now it's starting to feel like possibility, and listen carefully, because your spiritual awakening has been deepening through this loss, even if you didn't ask for it, even if you resisted it. And awakenings don't always come through light, they often come through love. That was strong enough to leave an imprint, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe uses imprints to teach us how to connect more deeply, more honestly, more compassionately, and your heart needs this right now because you are more open than you used to be, more sensitive, more aware of what matters, and that awareness is not weakness, it's readiness, and listen closely. Because readiness is what allows you to receive new love without replacing old love, to welcome new connections without erasing old ones, and don't scroll, listen to this, because there is room inside you for both memory and movement, grief and growth, and your heart needs this right now because you've been living as if you had to choose one, and listen to this truth, you don't, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because the universe has been nudging you toward moments of choice lately, small ones, like reaching out instead of isolating, resting instead of pushing, opening instead of shutting down, and your heart needs this right now because those choices are how healing actually happens, not all at once, but gradually, and listen carefully, because the loved one you lost is part of why you're capable of making those choices now. Not because they're pulling you backward, but because the love you shared strengthened you in ways you're only starting to recognize. And don't scroll, listen to this, because when you feel that sudden calm after tears, that grounding after a wave of emotion, that's not something external happening to you, it's your nervous system learning safety again. And your heart needs this right now because safety has been fragile for you since the loss, and listen closely, because the universe is not asking you to relive the past, it's asking you to let the past inform your compassion, your boundaries, your desires, and yes, even your openness to future love, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because soulmate energy is not about replacing someone. It's about meeting someone who can honor the whole of you, including your history, and your heart needs this right now because you've been worried that your depth might be too much for someone new, but listen to this truth, depth is what creates real connection, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been preparing you for that kind of connection by teaching you how to sit with emotion instead of running from it. And your heart needs this right now because sitting with emotion is how you stay present long enough for meaning to emerge, and listen carefully, because meaning doesn't arrive as a message spelled out in words, it arrives as a shift in how you move through the world, how you treat yourself, how you respond to love when it appears again, and don't scroll, listen to this, because love will appear again, not to erase the past, but to build on it. And your heart needs this right now because believing that doesn't mean you're forgetting anyone, it means you're honoring the life you're still living, and listen closely, because the universe is inviting you to stop asking, why did this happen, and start asking, how can this shape me, and don't scroll, listen to this, because that question moves you from pain into purpose. And your heart needs this right now because purpose brings peace, and listen carefully, because part 2 is not about giving you a definitive answer, it's about steadying you, grounding you, reminding you that what you're experiencing is a natural response to love that mattered, not something to fear or suppress. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the intensity will continue to soften, not disappear, but transform, and your heart needs this right now because transformation is how you reclaim your life without losing your connection to the past, and listen to this final moment carefully, because the universe is not finished guiding you, but it is asking you to trust yourself more, to trust your body, your intuition, your timing, and don't scroll. Listen to this, because what comes next will not feel like loss, it will feel like expansion, and your heart needed this right now to remember that love does not end, it evolves, and you are allowed to evolve with it. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you, and if part 2 softens something inside you, that's because your heart needs this right now, and the universe is continuing gently, intentionally, without rushing your grief or your understanding, because this part is about release without loss, and that may sound impossible until you feel it, so stay with me, breathe slowly, and listen closely, because what you're experiencing now is not the loved one pulling you backward, it's love pushing you forward in a new form. And this message is for you if you've noticed that your emotions are no longer only heavy but layered, moments where sadness and gratitude exist at the same time, where tears come but don't knock you over anymore, and don't scroll, listen to this, because that layering is healing in motion, and your heart needs this right now because you've been afraid that healing means closing the door on someone you loved, when in truth healing opens a window where love can. Breathe, and listen carefully, because the universe is not asking you to forget, it's asking you to stop carrying guilt for surviving, and don't scroll, listen to this, because guilt often disguises itself as loyalty, but loyalty to love does not require suffering, and your heart needs this right now because part of you has been staying heavy out of respect, out of fear that lightness means betrayal, and listen to this truth. The love you shared wants you light, wants you living, wants you present, not frozen in the moment everything changed, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the signs you're seeing, angel numbers like 1111 when you pause and reflect, 222 when you feel unsure if you're allowed to move forward, 444 when you feel unexpectedly safe, are not reminders of death, they are reminders of continuity, of guidance, of support surrounding you as you choose life again, and your heart needs this right now because choosing life can feel terrifying after loss, and listen carefully, because your spiritual awakening has been deepening quietly, not through visions or voices, but through awareness, through empathy, through a deeper understanding of impermanence and meaning. And don't scroll, listen to this, because awakenings often come through heartbreak, not bliss, and your heart needs this right now because you've been questioning why this happened to you, when the more healing question is what this experience has awakened within you, and listen closely, because what it's awakened is compassion, presence, and an ability to love more honestly than before, and don't scroll, listen to this, because those qualities are not accidents, they are the seeds of the next chapter of your life, including future connections, future joy. Even soulmate-level love that can hold your depth instead of being overwhelmed by it, and your heart needs this right now because you've been afraid that no one could understand you after this, but listen to this truth, the right people won't try to replace what you lost, they will honor it by loving who you became because of it, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because the universe has been preparing you for that kind of connection by teaching you how to sit with emotion without drowning in it, how to be vulnerable without collapsing, and your heart needs this right now because those are skills, not scars, and listen carefully, because the secret your loved one is trying to communicate is not something hidden, it's something simple but hard to accept. You are allowed to be happy again, you are allowed to laugh without immediately apologizing to yourself, you are allowed to dream without feeling selfish, and don't scroll, listen to this, because permission is often what the heart needs most, and your heart needs this right now because you've been waiting for some external sign that it's okay to move forward, and listen to this truth. That sign is already inside you, showing up as moments of peace, as curiosity about the future, as a soft pull toward connection instead of isolation. And don't scroll, listen to this, because those pulls are not distractions from grief, they are expressions of love continuing its work, and your heart needs this right now because grief is not the opposite of love, it's proof of it. And listen carefully, because the universe has also been guiding you through your body, not just your thoughts. Notice how your breath deepens when you allow yourself to imagine a future, how your shoulders drop when you stop resisting joy. And don't scroll, listen to this, because your body knows when it's safe to move forward, even when your mind hesitates, and your heart needs this right now because your mind learned caution through pain, but your body is learning trust again. And listen closely, because the loved one you lost is not attached to your suffering, they are attached to your essence, to who you are becoming, to the way you carry their love into the world through kindness, resilience, and openness. And don't scroll, listen to this, because love that strong does not demand sacrifice, it inspires growth, and your heart needs this right now because growth can feel like betrayal when you've been grieving for a long time. And listen to this truth, growth is how love continues. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe is also asking you to notice how your relationship with time has been changing, how the past no longer pulls you under as often, how the future no longer feels empty. And your heart needs this right now because those shifts mean you're integrating loss into your life story instead of letting it define the ending. And listen carefully, because integration does not erase pain, it gives it purpose. And don't scroll, listen to this, because purpose transforms suffering into wisdom, and your heart needs this right now because wisdom is what allows you to love again without fear, to connect without guilt, to be present without bracing for loss at every turn. And listen to this, the universe has been placing gentle opportunities in your path lately, small invitations to re-engage with life, to try something new, to reconnect. And don't scroll, listen to this, because those invitations are not tests, they're openings. And your heart needs this right now because openings can feel risky after you've been hurt. And listen closely, because risk is not the same as danger, and your nervous system is learning the difference. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the more you honor those small openings, the more grounded you'll feel, and grounding is what allows grief and joy to coexist without tearing you apart. And your heart needs this right now because coexistence is the goal, not forgetting, not clinging, but living with love integrated into who you are now. And listen carefully, because part 3 is not here to give you closure. Closure is a myth. It's here to offer continuation, a reminder that love does not end, it changes form and finds new expressions through you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because you are the continuation, and your heart needs this right now to remember that being alive is not a betrayal of the dead, it's a tribute. And listen to this final moment carefully, because the universe is not rushing you, but it is inviting you to step forward with everything you've learned, everything you've felt, everything you've survived. And don't scroll, listen to this, because what comes next will not erase your loss, it will expand your life around it. And your heart needed this right now to know that expansion is not abandonment, it is love doing what love has always done, continuing. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you, and if you've made it to part 4, it's because your heart needs this right now in a way that goes beyond understanding and into acceptance, the kind of acceptance that doesn't erase pain but softens its grip. And listen closely because this part is about integration, about how what you lost is quietly becoming part of who you are meant to be, not as a wound, but as wisdom. And this message is for you if you've noticed that your grief has changed its voice lately, how it doesn't always cry anymore but sometimes whispers, sometimes comforts, sometimes shows up as a sudden stillness that feels almost sacred. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that stillness is not emptiness, it's space, and space is where meaning settles, and your heart needs this right now because you've been living in emotional survival mode for so long that calm can feel unfamiliar, even suspicious. And listen carefully, because the universe is not taking anything away from you now, it's giving you room to breathe with what remains. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the loved one you lost is not asking you to hold on to pain as proof of love. Love does not require suffering to exist, and your heart needs this right now because part of you has been holding tight to the ache out of fear that letting go of pain means letting go of them. And listen to this truth, pain is not the connection. Love is, and love does not disappear when pain softens. It becomes clearer, gentler, easier to carry. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been guiding you toward moments of quiet awareness, moments where you suddenly realize you're okay right now, even if everything isn't resolved. And your heart needs this right now because being okay in the present moment doesn't invalidate the past, it honors the fact that you survived it. And listen closely, because the angel numbers you've been seeing, 11. 11 when you pause, 222 when you question whether you're allowed to feel peace, 444 when you feel unexpectedly grounded. Are not signs of something unfinished, they are confirmations that you are supported as you move forward, step by step, breath by breath. And don't scroll, listen to this, because support doesn't always arrive as answers. Sometimes it arrives as stability, and your heart needs this right now because stability has been rare since your loss. And listen carefully, because your spiritual awakening is deepening now, not through intensity, but through understanding, through the realization that love does not belong to the past alone, it lives in how you treat yourself, how you show up for others, how you allow joy back into your life without apologizing. And don't scroll, listen to this, because allowing joy is not forgetting, it's remembering love in a healthier form. And your heart needs this right now because you've been afraid that happiness would somehow undo the significance of what you shared. But listen to this truth. Happiness honors love by letting it keep shaping you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been gently nudging you toward new rhythms, new routines, new ways of being present. And those nudges may have felt confusing, like guilt mixed with relief. And your heart needs this right now because mixed emotions are a sign of growth, not betrayal. And listen carefully, because growth after loss is one of the hardest forms of courage. It requires you to trust that life can expand without erasing what mattered. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the loved one you lost is not attached to the version of you that is frozen in pain. They are connected to your essence, to your capacity to love, to your ability to carry meaning forward. And your heart needs this right now because you've been underestimating how much strength you've built simply by continuing. And listen to this, the universe is not rushing you to move on, it is inviting you to move with, to let love walk beside you instead of behind you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because moving with love feels different than dragging grief. It feels lighter, steadier, more sustainable. And your heart needs this right now because sustainability is what allows healing to last. And listen closely, because the signs you're noticing are becoming quieter not because the connection is fading, but because you're learning to carry it internally. And internalized love doesn't need constant reminders. It becomes part of your nervous system, your intuition, your sense of safety. And don't scroll, listen to this, because safety is what your body has been craving, not answers, and your heart needs this right now because your body has been holding tension for so long. And listen carefully, because when you allow yourself to rest without guilt, to enjoy a moment without immediately scanning for loss, that is love continuing its work, not abandoning it. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been teaching you that presence is the most honest form of remembrance, being here, now, alive, aware, and open. And your heart needs this right now because presence was shattered when you lost them, and you've been slowly rebuilding it piece by piece. And listen closely, because the secret that has been trying to reach you is not hidden knowledge, it's a gentle instruction. Stop punishing yourself for surviving, stop delaying your life out of loyalty to pain, stop believing that love only exists in what was. And don't scroll, listen to this, because loyalty to love looks like living well, not living small. And your heart needs this right now because you've been living smaller than you need to, holding back laughter, holding back hope, holding back connection. And listen to this truth, love does not ask you to shrink, it asks you to expand with integrity. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has also been preparing you for deeper connection ahead, connections that can hold your history without being threatened by it, connections that can honor your past while meeting you fully in the present. And your heart needs this right now because you've wondered if you'd ever feel understood again. And listen to this, understanding doesn't come from shared loss, it comes from shared presence. And don't scroll, listen to this, because presence is what you're learning now, slowly, gently, imperfectly, and that's enough. And your heart needs this right now because perfection is not required for healing, only honesty. And listen carefully, because honesty includes admitting when you're tired of being strong, when you want ease, when you want peace. And those wants are not selfish, they are signals that your system is ready for the next phase. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the next phase is not forgetting, it's integration. And your heart needs this right now because integration allows you to carry love without being crushed by it. And listen to this final moment carefully, because part 4 is not here to close a chapter, it's here to show you how chapters overlap, how love from the past informs the future without dominating it. And don't scroll, listen to this, because what you're learning now is how to let love evolve inside you, how to let memory become guidance, how to let grief become gentler. And your heart needed this right now to remember that continuing your life is not a betrayal of what you lost, it is the living expression of everything you loved. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you, and if you've arrived at part 5, it's because your heart needs this right now at a depth that goes beyond grief and into meaning. And listen closely because this is where the universe gently shifts you from holding pain to holding wisdom, from surviving the loss to letting love become a guide inside you. And this message is for you if you felt something new stirring lately. Moments where sadness no longer feels sharp but reflective, moments where you catch yourself smiling and then pausing, unsure if you're allowed to. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that pause is important, it's the doorway between guilt and grace. And your heart needs this right now because you've been carrying a quiet belief that happiness must be earned again, that joy requires permission. And listen carefully, because the truth the universe has been trying to show you is that love never wanted you to stop living, it wanted you to live fully, even after loss. And don't scroll, listen to this, because part of the secret you've been sensing is not about the past, it's about your future, it's about how the love you experienced shaped you into someone capable of deeper connection, greater compassion, and a more grounded sense of purpose. And your heart needs this right now because you may have been afraid that your depth would isolate you, that no one could understand you. Now, but listen to this truth, depth is not a burden to the right people, it's a bridge, and don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been preparing you for connections that meet you where you are, not where you used to be, connections that don't ask you to forget, but know how to honor. And your heart needs this right now because honoring doesn't mean reliving pain, it means letting love inform how you show up in the world. And listen closely, because the signs you've been noticing, angel numbers like 1111 when you reflect, 222 when you hesitate to move forward, 444 when you suddenly feel grounded, are not messages pulling you backward. They are stabilizers, reminding you that you are supported as you step into a new rhythm of life. And don't scroll, listen to this, because support doesn't always feel dramatic, sometimes it feels like calm replacing chaos, like your breath deepening without effort, and your heart needs this right now because your body has been holding tension for a long time. And listen carefully, because the universe has been teaching you through your nervous system, not just your thoughts. Notice how your shoulders drop when you allow yourself to imagine a future moment of joy, how your chest softens when you stop resisting peace. And don't scroll, listen to this, because those physical responses are not accidents, they are signs of safety returning, and your heart needs this right now because safety was shattered when you lost them, and you've been rebuilding it piece by piece without realizing how strong you've become. And listen to this, the loved one you lost is not tied to your suffering, love does not cling to pain, love expands through growth. And don't scroll, listen to this, because part of you has been holding on to heaviness as proof of loyalty, but listen to this truth, loyalty to love looks like living with integrity, kindness, and openness, not punishing yourself for surviving. And your heart needs this right now because you've been punishing yourself quietly, withholding joy, delaying dreams, minimizing your needs. And listen closely, because the universe is asking you to stop shrinking in reverence to loss and start expanding in honor of love. And don't scroll, listen to this, because expansion does not erase memory, it gives it a place to live without dominating every moment. And your heart needs this right now because you deserve moments that are not defined by what you lost, but by what you're becoming. And listen carefully, because your spiritual awakening has been unfolding through awareness, through noticing what matters, through letting go of what doesn't. And don't scroll, listen to this, because awakenings are not always bright or blissful. Sometimes they are quiet realizations that you cannot keep living as if the worst moment of your life is the only one that counts. And your heart needs this right now because your life is still unfolding. And listen to this truth, the love you lost is not behind you, it's within you, shaping how you love others, how you show up, how you choose connection over isolation. And don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate level connections ahead are not meant to replace anyone, they are meant to meet the whole of you, including your history, your grief, your growth, and your capacity for depth. And your heart needs this right now because you've been afraid that loving again would diminish what you had. But listen to this, love is not finite, it multiplies through experience. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe has been gently nudging you toward life again through small invitations, a conversation you almost avoided, an activity you almost skipped, a moment of laughter you almost shut down. And your heart needs this right now because those invitations are not tests, they are openings. And listen carefully, because opening after loss is an act of courage, not betrayal. And don't scroll, listen to this, because courage doesn't mean you're not scared. It means you move gently anyway, and your heart needs this right now. Because gentle movement is how healing sustains itself, and listen to this, the secret you've been sensing is not something you need to uncover, it's something you need to allow yourself to be present, allow yourself to feel okay without immediately questioning it, allow yourself to imagine a future without apologizing to the past, and don't scroll, listen to this, because allowance is the hardest step after grief. And your heart needs this right now because you've been denying yourself permission out of habit, not necessity, and listen closely, because the universe is not rushing you, it's walking beside you, matching your pace, respecting your timing, and don't scroll, listen to this, because timing is not about deadlines, it's about readiness, and your heart needs this right now because readiness is not something you declare, it's something you feel in moments of calm, and listen to this truth. When calm starts to feel natural again, that's when life begins to open, and don't scroll, listen to this, because opening does not mean forgetting, it means integrating, and your heart needs this right now because integration allows you to carry love without being consumed by it, and listen carefully, because part 5 is not here to close the story, it's here to steady you in the middle of it, to remind you that continuing to live is not a rejection of what you lost. It is the living expression of everything you loved, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because the universe did not bring you this far to leave you stuck, it brought you here to remind you that love's greatest legacy is the life it teaches you how to live, and your heart needed this right now to remember that you are allowed to step forward, softly, honestly, and fully, carrying love not as weight, but as wisdom, and what comes next will not erase your past, it will build upon it with meaning, presence, and a deeper kind of peace. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you, and if you're here at part 6, it's because your heart needs this right now at a level that goes beyond comfort and into truth, the kind of truth that doesn't shake you but steadies you. And listen closely because this is where the universe asks you to trust what you already feel, not search for more signs, not question your sanity, not minimize your experience, but to trust that what has been unfolding inside you is real, meaningful, and purposeful. And this message is for you if you've noticed that the connection to the loved one you lost no longer feels sharp or chaotic but intentional, like it's guiding you rather than pulling you backward, and don't scroll, listen to this, because that shift matters more than any sign or symbol, and your heart needs this right now because you've spent so much time wondering if you were holding on too long or imagining things, when in reality you were transitioning from grief into integration, and listen carefully, because integration is the phase where love stops hurting and starts teaching, and teaching doesn't come with noise, it comes with clarity, and don't scroll, listen to this, because clarity feels quiet, and quiet can feel unsettling when you've been living with emotional turbulence for so long, and your heart needs this right now because calm doesn't mean absence, it means presence without fear, and listen closely, because the universe has been communicating with you through moments of inner knowing, not external proof, moments where you suddenly understand something without needing to analyze it, moments where you feel guided to make a choice that supports your well-being instead of your guilt, and don't scroll, listen to this, because those moments are not random, they are the result of love becoming wisdom inside you. And your heart needs this right now because wisdom doesn't erase pain. It contextualizes it, it gives it a place where it no longer dominates your identity, and listen carefully, because the loved one you lost is not tied to your sorrow, they are connected to your growth, and growth does not look like forgetting, it looks like expanding your capacity to live without abandoning what mattered, and don't scroll, listen to this. Because you've been afraid that moving forward means losing the connection, but listen to this truth, connection does not weaken when you heal. It strengthens, because it no longer depends on suffering to stay alive, and your heart needs this right now because suffering has been exhausting. And listen closely, because the universe is not asking you to let go, it's asking you to carry differently, to hold love as guidance rather than weight. And don't scroll, listen to this, because weight bends you, guidance steadies you, and your heart needs this right now because you've been bent for a long time. And listen carefully, because the signs you once needed, songs, numbers, symbols, are becoming less frequent, not because the connection is fading, but because you're internalizing it. You don't need reminders anymore, you are the reminder. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that realization can feel lonely at first, but it's actually empowering. It means you're no longer waiting for reassurance, you're carrying certainty, and your heart needs this right now because certainty brings peace. And peace is what allows you to show up fully in the present. And listen closely, because the universe has been guiding you toward moments of choice lately, moments where you can either retreat into old patterns of isolation or step gently toward life. And don't scroll, listen to this, because those choices are not tests, they're invitations. And your heart needs this right now because invitations can feel overwhelming when you're used to protecting yourself. And listen carefully, because protection once kept you alive, but now it may be keeping you from living. And don't scroll, listen to this, because living does not mean pretending nothing happened, it means allowing what happened to shape you into someone who values presence, connection, and meaning more deeply than before. And your heart needs this right now because you've been minimizing your needs, telling yourself others have it worse, that you should be over it by now. And listen to this truth, grief has no deadline, but growth has a direction. And don't scroll, listen to this, because direction does not rush you, it simply points forward. And your heart needs this right now because forward used to feel like betrayal, and now it's starting to feel like alignment. And listen closely, because your spiritual awakening has matured into discernment. You're no longer chasing signs, you're recognizing patterns, you're noticing what feels nourishing versus draining, what brings calm versus chaos. And don't scroll, listen to this, because discernment is what allows you to build a life that honors your past without being controlled by it. And your heart needs this right now because control once felt like safety, and now trust is taking its place. And listen carefully, because trust does not mean certainty about the future, it means confidence in your ability to navigate it. And don't scroll, listen to this, because you are stronger than you think, not because you endured loss, but because you learned how to feel and still keep going. And your heart needs this right now because resilience is not about being tough, it's about being honest with yourself. And listen closely, because honesty includes acknowledging that you want peace, connection, maybe even love again, and those desires are not betrayals, they are signs of life returning. And don't scroll, listen to this, because life returning does not erase the past, it integrates it into a fuller picture. And your heart needs this right now because a full picture allows you to breathe again. And listen carefully, because the universe is not asking you to rush into anything, not relationships, not decisions, not conclusions, it's asking you to stay open, to let meaning continue to unfold naturally. And don't scroll, listen to this, because openness is the opposite of fear. And your heart needs this right now because fear has been loud for so long. And listen to this, the loved one you lost is not pulling you back. They are part of what's pushing you forward, not through pressure, but through the love that shaped you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that love did not end, it evolved into strength, clarity, and compassion. And your heart needs this right now because you are no longer meant to live in reaction to loss, you are meant to live in response to love, and listen carefully, because part 6 is not here to give you answers, it's here to ground you in trust, trust in yourself, trust in your healing, trust in the fact that what you are feeling now is not confusion, it's alignment settling into place. And don't scroll, listen to this, because alignment feels quiet, steady, and real, and your heart needed this right now to remember that you are not lost, you are becoming, and what comes next will not undo your past, it will honor it by allowing you to live fully, gently, and truthfully, carrying love not as a burden, but as a guide. Don't scroll, listen to this message is for you. And if you've reached part 7, understand this deeply. Your heart needs this right now because you are standing at the moment where everything you've been feeling finally settles into knowing, not the kind of knowing that demands proof, but the kind that rests calmly in your body and says, I understand now, and listen closely, because this is not about signs chasing you anymore. It's about you recognizing what has already been integrated into who you are becoming. And this message is for you if you've noticed that the pain no longer defines your days, even though the love still does. If you've felt a quiet confidence replace the ache, a steadiness replace the confusion, and don't scroll, listen to this, because that shift means something sacred has completed its work inside you. And your heart needs this right now because you've been wondering if the connection you felt was fading, when in truth it was rooting, becoming part of your inner foundation rather than something external you needed to hold on to. And listen carefully, because the universe does not remove love, it internalizes it, and internalized love becomes guidance, intuition, strength, and compassion that walks with you instead of pulling at you. And don't scroll, listen to this, because this is the phase where the angel numbers you once noticed, 1111, 222, 444, begin to feel less urgent and more familiar, like quiet confirmations rather than calls for attention, and your heart needs this right now because that familiarity means trust has replaced searching. And listen closely, because 11 now represents alignment already in motion, not something you're waiting for. 222 represents balance restored between memory and movement, past and present, and 444 represents stability within yourself, not protection from outside forces. And don't scroll, listen to this, because when signs become internalized, it means you no longer need reassurance to move forward. You carry it within you, and your heart needs this right now because you've spent so long feeling like you needed permission to live fully again. And listen to this truth, permission was never external, it was something you had to grow into, and you have. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the loved one you lost is not reaching out now because something is wrong. They are not screaming your name in distress. That urgency you felt earlier was love trying to wake you up, not frighten you. And now that you're awake, the message softens, becomes quieter, steadier, more peaceful, and your heart needs this right now because peace can feel unfamiliar after prolonged grief. And listen carefully, because peace does not mean disconnection. It means completion of a cycle of pain. And don't scroll, listen to this, because completion is not forgetting, it is integration, and integration allows you to carry love forward without being anchored to suffering. And your heart needs this right now because suffering was never the point, love was. And listen closely, because the universe has been observing how you respond to life lately. How you allow moments of joy without immediately bracing for loss, how you sit with stillness without panic, how you trust your intuition instead of dismissing it. And don't scroll, listen to this, because those responses show that you are no longer living from trauma, you are living from awareness, and your heart needs this right now because awareness is what allows destiny to unfold gently instead of forcefully. And listen carefully, because the secret you were meant to receive was never hidden information, it was release from guilt, from fear of moving on, from the belief that love ends when someone leaves the physical world. And don't scroll, listen to this, because love does not end, it transforms into values, into resilience, into the way you show up for others, into the depth you bring into future connections. And your heart needs this right now because you've been questioning whether you could ever love again without diminishing what you lost. And listen to this truth, loving again does not replace love, it expands it. And don't scroll, listen to this, because soulmate-level connections that may enter your life are not meant to overwrite your past, they are meant to meet the version of you shaped by it, and your heart needs this right now because you are no longer the same person you were before the loss, you are wiser, more present, more honest, and listen closely, because that evolution is the legacy of the love you experienced, not the pain you endured. And don't scroll, listen to this, because legacy is not about memory alone, it's about how love continues to move through you, influencing your choices, your boundaries, your compassion, and your courage to stay open. And your heart needs this right now because staying open after loss is one of the bravest things a person can do. And listen carefully, because the universe has been slowly withdrawing external signs, not because guidance has ended, but because you've learned how to listen inwardly. You don't need reminders, you are aligned. And don't scroll, listen to this, because alignment feels like trust without certainty, peace without explanation, presence without fear. And your heart needs this right now because those states were once unreachable for you, and now they are becoming your baseline. And listen closely, because the loved one you lost is not tied to your past anymore. They are woven into your present, into the way you breathe through difficult moments, into the way you soften instead of harden, into the way you choose meaning over numbness. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that weaving is complete now. And your heart needs this right now because completion brings rest, and rest allows you to step forward without looking back in fear. And listen carefully, because stepping forward does not mean leaving anyone behind. It means carrying them with you in a way that no longer hurts. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that is what healing looks like when it's real, not dramatic, not performative, but quiet, stable, and deeply personal. And your heart needs this right now because you've been waiting for a moment where it would finally make sense. And listen to this, it does now, not intellectually, but emotionally, spiritually, somatically. And don't scroll, listen to this, because that sense of, it makes sense now, is the universe's way of saying the message has been received, the cycle has completed, and you are free to live without carrying unfinished weight. And your heart needs this right now because freedom after grief can feel scary. And listen carefully, because freedom does not erase love, it allows it to breathe. And don't scroll, listen to this, because what comes next in your life will not be defined by what you lost, but by what you learned, what you carry, and how deeply you are capable of loving now. And your heart needs this right now because you are no longer surviving, you are integrating. And listen to this final truth carefully, because part 7 is not an ending, it is a settling, a quiet knowing that the connection you felt was real, purposeful, and complete in the way it needed to be. And don't scroll, listen to this, because the universe did not bring you through this experience to leave you broken. It brought you through it to awaken a deeper version of you, one who can live, love, and move forward without fear, carrying love not as pain, but as presence. And your heart needed this right now to finally rest in that truth.